People often ask me how I turned something as simple as writing letters into a trip to Europe. Well, it's kind of a funny story with a very happy ending because I love to write and I love Europe trips. And if you love those two things as well, stay tuned because this is something you can do too. And I'll tell you all about it after this quick story. So one day I found out my 5 best guy friends were planning a trip to Europe, and they'd love for me to go too, but I was in my early 20s, and apparently the only one without an easy way to come up with an extra $5,000 to $6,000 to pay for the trip. They invited me, but really didn't think I'd make it. But I knew this was a trip of a lifetime. 6 countries in Europe, 12 cities, 30 days, during the World Cup, which is huge in Europe. I couldn't miss this. I needed a plan, and fortunately I found one. Writing letters for money. Now, before you may have heard or seen me say that I made $300 per letter, and that's true, but I do have a confession to make that I'll share with you in just a moment. So I started writing letters to pay for the trip. And soon I had surprised everyone by generating enough extra money to buy a round-trip plane ticket to Europe in just a few months. Needless to say, it was an amazing trip. We spent a lot of time in nice hotels and sports bars watching World Cup games, which can be fairly spendy, and letter writing paid for it all. Since then, letter writing has paid for 5 Caribbean cruises, several trips around the United States, and I'm getting ready for another trip to Europe now, which will actually be my 3rd trip to Europe, because my 2nd European tour was with my new wife on our honeymoon, and yes, letter writing allowed me to buy the ring, too. So that's how powerful letter writing is. Anytime you need extra money, you just write a few letters. I chose to travel, but I know people who use the extra income from writing letters to spoil themselves rotten in other ways. You can spend your letter writing money to remodel your home or kitchen, on a new car, to support your favorite charity, or if you get really serious about it, you can write enough letters to quit your 9-to-5 job. I know dozens of letter writers who have done just that. And the crazy thing is, even the best letter writers who do it for a full-time income often only write for 3 hours a day max. So it can be done part-time, it can be done from your home while sipping vanilla lattes at coffee shops, or because you can work while you travel, even while picnicking in the grass of Champ de Mars in front of the Eiffel Tower. For example, I've written letters in London, on a cruise ship, and while visiting family because you can literally do it from anywhere on the planet. It really is powerful and it can change your life financially, but here's where the confession comes in. I said before that letter writing can make you $300 a letter, and that's true, but that's probably the least you can make. I've written letters for $1,000, $3,000, even $4,500, and those were all seen as on the low side. The most I've ever been paid for a letter with a few extra bells and whistles was $10,000, but the best writers make $25,000 or more for each letter they write. And you know how some fiction writers can become millionaires or even billionaires from royalties? Like J.K. Rowling, the woman who wrote Harry Potter? Well, letter writing can come with royalties too. In fact, I know of a guy named Paul, who I'll introduce you to in just a second, who made $160,000 for just one letter when all the royalties were added up. I knew you may find this hard to believe at first, which is why I didn't come straight out and say how much money you can make writing letters. I wanted to tell you my story first and explain how it works so you can understand why letter writing is able to be so rewarding. According to AWAI, or American Writers and Artists Inc., letter writing is the foundation of a $2.3 trillion industry. $2.3 trillion is a lot of money to spread around. And frankly, if it weren't for the letter writers, this special industry would collapse. There's a constant demand for letters, and a constant demand for people to write them. That means if you like to write, and can write in a simple, conversational style, then there are people out there right now looking for you. And they're willing to pay you good money for one simple, powerful reason. Because these letters make businesses, nonprofits, and charities a lot of money. You've probably seen the type of letter I'm talking about in the mail, in magazines, or on the internet. These letters are simply promotional letters. They're advertisements. Sometimes they're announcing new health supplements, exercise videos, financial newsletters, or any other product, and sometimes they're asking for donations, either for a charity, special cause, or maybe even a political party. And when one of these letters or advertisements is given the right publicity, it can generate several $100,000 or even more than $1 million very quickly. Which is why companies and nonprofits are willing to pay you so well to write these simple conversational letters. So if writing letters for money sounds like an amazing plan to you, and you'd like to start taking action, then I give it my highest recommendation. For me, letter writing has completely changed my life financially. In fact, it's been more than 8 years since I took that first Europe trip, and since then nearly 100% of my income has come from writing these letters. That's despite the fact that I don't have a degree in English or any formal writing training. Truth is, I'm not even that talented of a writer. I just invested in myself and learned how to write in the simple, conversational style that makes these letters work. So if you can do it, I know you can too. The money can be fantastic. At a minimum, you can earn a little money on the side, enough to save up for incredible vacations in the Caribbean or Paris or Rome. And then there's also the opportunity to make life-changing money. Surely enough to quit your 9-to-5 job, but possibly even enough to retire much earlier than you ever thought possible. The only thing you need to be sure of before you get started is that the relaxing writer's life is right for you. If you must have the rigid 9-to-5 structure and a stern-faced boss looking over your shoulder to thrive, and some people do, then this probably isn't for you. But if you love the idea of working from home in pajama pants and slippers, or writing to the cheerful sounds of coffee shop chatter, or the freedom to wake up and declare, I feel like going on an adventure today instead of working, then using my little story as inspiration may be the best thing you ever do for yourself. Choosing to write letters for money might just allow you to say goodbye to office politics, rush hour traffic, and your boss forever. Because if you commit to learning how to write these letters, you shouldn't have a hard time finding money ever again. I do need to make one point clear though. It does take some effort. This isn't a get-rich-quick opportunity. You do have to spend some time learning how to write this style of letter. That's why I asked for your email. I'm going to send you some personal advice about the resources and courses that have really helped me. They do cost money, but getting an education always does. Also, there's another option that could result in you getting paid $10,000 for the very first letter you write, and I think you should strongly consider it. Remember when I said I knew a guy named Paul who made $160,000 after royalties from just one letter? Well, he co-founded AWAI, American Writers and Artists Inc., to teach people who like to write how to make a living out of it. AWAI has a course specifically on how to earn 6 figures per year writing letters, and you do not have to take out a student loan to enroll in the course like you do for most career training. The program is surprisingly affordable, and there's a 1-year money-back guarantee, so you can try it out for a while, and if it's not working for you, you can get your money back. You can click the link below this video to find out all about it. It'll take you to a letter written by Paul describing how he went from stocking grocery shelves for $6.50 an hour to now making $300,000 a year while semi-retired and writing letters on the side. It's really an incredible story that you should read, even if it's just to be inspired. But I also highly recommend this course if you want to start writing letters for a living. It's probably the fastest way to learn the ins and outs of letter writing, and you also join a whole community of people who are learning and writing together. If I had to start all over, this is the first place I would go to, especially because they give you a chance to make $10,000 on your first letter, which is pretty incredible considering my first project was for less than $300. So if you want to get started writing letters, and to read more about Paul's story in the Accelerated 6-Figure Writing course, click the link below. Thank you for letting me share my story, and we'll talk soon.